Yes, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another edition, another episode, another conversation of From Bromley with Love. The best laid plans, you know. I said at the start of the season this would be after every single game, but listen, this National League football ain't easy. following following the football club ain't easy. This season, more than ever, it's felt like it's. I don't know if they've done the scheduling this way on purpose, but it's felt like at the start of the season, Saturday, Tuesday, Saturday, Tuesday, Saturday, Tuesday. And with the greatest will in the world, it's very hard, unless it's your full-time job. It's very hard to try and get behind after to try and wrap up all of these games so quickly in a short space of time. But I'm here. I'm back as ever. My name is Machel St. Patrick Hewitt, the host of From Bromley with Love, and of course, I've now elevated him to co-host status. I've elevated him to co-host status on the deep dive. It's Colin Head, as usual. Colin, how you doing?
Yeah, I'm good. Yeah, like this co-host. I'll take that. It's going on my Twitter blog.
Listen. Since the last time we checked in, I had a look home, and the last time we did a show was after the Gateshead game, which Bromley won 3-1. And just before we went live, I said to you, "How many games have we played since then?" And I thought it was like 2 or 3, but it's actually been 5. So just to recap, since that last show, Cole, we after Gateshead, who were 4th at the time or 5th at the time when we beat them. We went to Chesterfield. Actually, I remember the show because remember I said to you for a title contest.
Yes, I do remember that. Yeah, if we get anything at Chesterfield, yeah.
We went to Chesterfield in what effectively was it was the 2 informed sides in the league. Chesterfield do look like kind of similar to Notts County and Wrexham. Chesterfield just look a bit better than everybody else. They look like they've got greater depth than everybody else.
There's a gap there already.
Yeah. It looks like, to all intents and purposes, after 17, 16 games, whatever it is, it looks like he'll take somebody very special to stop them this season.
Yeah, definitely.
Anyways, we went there. Like you, I watched that one on the stream, and I think we were game in the first half.
Yeah.
Maybe Cheeky could have scored maybe with that little snapshot. But second half, I thought Chesterfield bossed it really. And
it's the only time I think this season when you thought actually they're better than us. It
was one of them ones because I remember the game well because I looked at their bench. They had Will Grigg on the bench, Mandeville on the bench, and one of their other heavy hitters on the bench. And I thought,
that's right.
hold on a minute. Yes, we've got depth, but they've got like EFL depth.
Yeah, they do. They really do. They're another one of these teams that look like they're ready. They could go up without changing anything and be fine in League Two.
100%. So that was a defeat. We then went to York. It felt weird because we went to York, and because the Chesterfield defeat was like our first defeat in 12 or 13 games or something.
Yeah, that's right.
It almost felt like we had to go to York and get something. It was weird because it was our first defeat since essentially the start of the season. And it looked like we were going to lose. And then obviously Josh Pasley's cross-come shot rescued a point at the death at York. And York have a new gaffer in Neil Ardley. They were kind of riding the high of having a new manager. So I actually thought that was a good point.
Yeah, I did. And that team should be doing a lot better than it was, that York team. You look at the players they've got, that's another team you would expect to be near the top of our league, I think. You know, Akinyemi on his own, that guy's, it's a proper centre forward. He's very, very good. I was watching Cray, and when it came out, Akinyemi scored. It was like, Oh no, I was at Gillingham, and then it came out, and I thought, okay, yeah.
Do you know what? Actually, before I continue, this is how you know we don't plan these shows. Little segue. I know you went to that Gillingham versus
MK Dons.
MK Dons, right? A little segue here. People, before the show, I said to Carl, I don't know if we've got enough talking points, and now look what's happened. Out of interest, Cole, when you went to that Gillingham game, so Gillingham are at the top at the time of recording. Gillingham, I think, are 7th in League Two.
Yeah, they were 4th when we went.
Right.
Yeah.
I've always said that I don't think there's much difference between the bottom half of League Two and the National League. But what, if anything, did you notice about the kind of quality of League Two football versus what we watch on a regular in the National League?
You know what? I was chatting to my son about this. The massive difference is the intensity, the speed that it is played at is ridiculous. These guys must work on their fitness sort of Monday to Friday, because the pace that it was played at for the whole game. I'm going to be interested in another segue. I'm going to be interested how Williamson does at MK Dons, playing the way that he did at Gateshead, because you're just not going to get the time to do that. You don't get a second on the ball, and everything's 100 miles an hour. Other than that, I mean, I think quality-wise, I don't notice any difference in the players. Ethan Coleman looked quality, but then he looked quality when he was with us. But it's the pace. It's just unrelenting. Yeah. No, I think this coach is going to have his work cut out. Should we progress through the playoffs this year? It's a step up in intensity, definitely.
That's really interesting, because I remember, I don't know if it was listening to an interview with Josh Rees or if it was me answering Josh Rees. I can't remember how it came about, but Josh made that exact point, because obviously when Josh left us, he went to Gillingham when he left us in 2018, and Josh spent a season there, maybe a season and a bit. I think he scored 4 goals and 20 odd appearances, whatever. And Josh said when he came back to the National League that the biggest thing he noticed was, he said, it's only a half second, but you have a half second less on the ball than you do when you did nationally. And he says it sounds silly, but you notice it when you go up into League Two, that your thinking speed has to be a bit quicker than it has to be in the National League.
Yeah, I would agree with that totally. MK Dons had a guy playing for him called Jonathan Lecco. He was at West Brom in the Premier League when he was a kid. He took one extra touch in midfield, and the next thing he was on his face and Gillian ran through and scored. And it's like, you don't get that extra touch, oh wow, yeah, the pace it was played at was incredible.
Indeed, and we'll pivot back to that when we talk about the FA Cup near the end of the show. But just wanted to segue in there. But anyways, carrying on. So lost to Chesterfield, drew with York, and then since then we've put three wins on the bounce. 3-2 win in the FA Cup 4th qualifying round versus Wealdstone, 3-1 win at home to Oxford City, and then a 2-1 win on Tuesday night against Dorking Wanderers. And the theme, the reason why I've put all those 3 together, Cole, is what's been quite interesting is, if you take the second half versus Wealdstone, all of the match versus Oxford, all of the match versus Dorking, you could argue at no point were Bromley really fluent. At no point were they really dominant, right? I'm not saying that we were in trouble per se, but we weren't winning at a canter. Okay, and you could argue that at this level there is no such thing really as winning at a canter. But I guess what I want to segue to from that is, we found a way in the last 3 matches to just win anyways.
That's right.
Yeah. I wrote the good, the bad, and the ugly last night, so it should, at the time of recording, it should be out at some point today, maybe. And in this week's article, I said that this may be as good as we've ever had it, as Bromley fans, relative to the level we are playing at, 100%. In so much as, and I know some of proper Bromley historians will say, oh, but what about that season when Smudge took us to the top of the table? I think it was the first 13 games or so on and so forth. But this is now one defeat in 16, right? Mm-hmm. Going into Woking. And there have been several games in that 16-match run where we haven't even played well. Yeah. But we're still just beating sides. And that's the context in which I've put maybe this is as good as it gets, where we have become the side that we're slowly becoming the side that you have to be in the National League.
I think we covered this before. I think we are a National League side now. Like the team, when we used to play against National League teams, if it was in a cup or trophy, we've become that team, and we've got strength in depth as well now. But finding a way to win when you're not playing brilliantly, but you still find that way. Like Tuesday was a great example of that. We've become that team now. Definitely, we've matured this side, and the strength in depth in our squad this season is crazy. The game, I think it was Oxford City, I looked at the players not playing, and there were 6 that you would think would start in most teams that weren't even on the bench.
Yeah.
So it's yeah. so you can understand the project now. I probably didn't at first when we were signing loads of loan players. I was thinking this is too many, but now I get when you as you said, we play Saturday, Tuesday. You need this squad.
Yeah, and I'm glad you've raised that point, because Tuesday night I sat in the media section and I looked down, because usually when the players who aren't in the squad usually sit right at the front in like the second section, right? And on Tuesday night, James Vennings was there, Jude Arthurs was there, Bim Peppel, Ryan Jones, Keto Taylor Hart. That's just 5 players, right?
Yeah, Marriott was there as
To the
well,
best
right?
of Marriott, who I think is still recovering from an injury. Alex Kirk, who's got an injury. That's 7 players now, right?
Yeah.
5, let's say 5 of them weren't injured. They were just not in the match.
That's right.
Squad.
Yeah, that's right.
And that's
It's just
crazy.
Kirk and Marriott that were injured.
That's crazy. The level of, and I've said it to Andy. I don't even call it squad depth, because I call it quality in depth, because squad depth tends to indicate numbers for the sake of numbers, like we've got some cover. Whereas this for me is, and Tuesday night showed it for me. Sam Woods didn't play, right? He played Lewis Lee instead, and I think that was a tactical decision based on how Dorking Wanderers play, right?
Yeah.
Kirk had an injury, so Chinakoli came back in, right? Callum Reynolds came onto the bench, and so on and so forth. When the match wasn't going our way, he took off Josh Pasley, told Todd Miller to go play right wing back. Lewis Lee was on a yellow card, took him off, brought on Sam Woods. It weren't Fella's game. He was kind of off it on Tuesday night, so he brought on Louis Dennis. Basically, he's got options nearly everywhere to chop and change it if it's not working.
Yeah, there's a like for like in virtually every position now. Whereas if you've got an injury or you say you're not quite on it, someone comes in and fills the gap perfectly. Not square pegs and round holes like at the start of the season. It was like, well, you're going to have to play there, but it's not like that now. It's I think Fella was unlucky. They've done a really good job on him, because obviously Mark White had been at the game on the Saturday. He'd obviously seen that you can't give him any space.
Yeah.
And that he doesn't play in conventional eras. They'll come out wide, and they work that out. And they're the first team that's kept him quiet really since he signed for us.
Yeah, 100%. And what I kind of saw with Fella, which again, first time I've seen it since he joined, they didn't give him a moment. Like even when he was harried into, every time he got the ball, I felt like he was harried into a mistake. Like like you say, it's clear that they saw him as a key link-up man in the transitional play, which is why at times it felt like Cheek was isolated. When he was trying to win headers, the Fella couldn't get onto them. When Fella was going wide to get the ball, he couldn't link it up because. So fair play to Dorking though, because they
did a good job.
They clearly had a game plan. To stop us, but ultimately you play to the final whistle. And actually, let's talk about that. Michael Cheek fouled the keeper, cuts.
Yeah, he did. Yeah, he kicked
that was a foul.
I didn't realise until I saw the replay, because I just kind of followed the ball out to Corey and thought, oh, he's got to have a go. You know, we ticked over above the added time. We just got into about 20 extra seconds. So and he did what he got it under. He wasn't flustered, kept his head, and got a decent shot off. You know, a lot of people would have just flung their foot at that. But he actually got it under control. But yeah, it was in the build up. I haven't watched it again. He kicks him in the stomach.
It wasn't even like a 50-50. It was just a foul.
I don't know what
it was absurd.
It's incredible that the officials missed that. Obviously pleased that they did, but wow, yeah. No wonder they were so angry at the end.
Yeah. It's rare that I look like, put it this way, if that had happened to us, I would have been seething, thinking, hold on, that was clear and obvious. Those ones where you watch it on replay and you're thinking, even live, I thought it was dubious, right? And then I looked at it on the replay and was like, no, that was obvious. And then you look at the referee's position and he's looking right at it. So
I
don't know. We got, like you say, we got away with it, but that's not to take away from Corey, because Corey still had to score. So it's
control
not
and the composure.
Yeah. It's not
Yeah,
simplistic as it's a foul and that's why it was a goal. Corey still had to produce what he had to produce.
yeah, yeah, exactly. Yeah, 25, 28 yards out, and he gets it under the crossbar, over the keeper, over the two guys on the line.
Mm.
It's phenomenal finish. Yeah, yeah,
With talking just a bit on that squad depth, because again, I'm a lot of the talking points I've got here, I'm linking to what I've written in the article. And I apologize to people watching this. I apologize because in the good, the bad, and the ugly, I haven't mentioned the foul. And I meant to, but I've just realized I forgot to talk about it. So this is me officially saying it was a foul. But we spoke about squad depth at the start, but I've got a bit of an issue. There's one aspect of the squad I've got an issue with, and it's controversial because some people may disagree with me. So I want to see what your take is. In the midfield, Cole, we have Sam Woods and Lewis Lee.
hmm
Corey Whiteley and Ben Crowhouse have started pretty much every single game that they've
yeah.
been. I think they have started every single game that they have been fit for. Sometimes Crowhouse comes off when he tires. Whiteley rarely comes off because he's so important to the side. And
He'll often
Tuesday night,
get moved to wing back, won't he? Like,
yeah,
that's about
exactly.
it. Yeah,
They'd rather move him and do a
yeah,
tactical change than take him off, right? Tuesday night was the first time this season. Maybe I should have noticed beforehand. And some people are going to say, nah, Mash, your point's invalid because Corey scored the winner. Not discounting that. But Tuesday night was the first time I looked at the midfield and I thought, wait a minute. A lot of this depends on Corey and Ben, right? And Lewis and Sam Wood are the screens, right? I'm talking about going forward,
yeah, yeah,
attacking
definitely. Yeah,
momentum. And for the first time this season, I thought you two look a bit fatigued. That doesn't mean you're not impacting the game. It doesn't mean that you're not trying to get on the ball. But we're asking a lot of you two to play 90 minutes, gaming like Tuesday, Saturday, Saturday, Tuesday, gaming, game out. Then I looked down to my right and I looked at who wasn't in the team. Jude Arthurs can play midfield. James Vennings can play in midfield. But none of them are Ben Crowhouse or Corey Whiteley.
no,
Crowhouse and
yeah,
Corey Whiteley are ball carriers. Jude, with respect, isn't that player. James Vennings isn't that player. And it's the one area of the squad, and Michael Cheek, I should point out, where if one of those two gets injured, who replaces them?
yeah. There were two when we were under the cosh in the second half on Tuesday. There were two incidents where Krauss picked the ball up, virtually in our own box, and just went.
Hmm.
And there was one where he passed to Sam Woods, and Sam Woods wasn't sure whether to shoot or cross, and did neither in the end. And
Yeah.
then there was another one where I think Ben got a shot off. But both times you think, how is he doing this? And that was late in the game. But yeah, you're right. There isn't anybody who can replace their legs. I don't think they get the ball and they take the pressure off.
Mm.
Definitely, yeah, yeah.
So I'm caught between a bit of a rock and a hard place here because we have taken our budget to the absolute limit.
I bet we
Andy's
have,
got
yeah.
loanies coming out of every kind of office, right? But we don't have. I'm just slightly worried that we don't have a life like, and that's not to say that Vennings and Arthurs couldn't come in and do a job, but our style of play would have to change.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I
Yeah,
just worry there's a bit of an over dependence on those two. We're yet to rest them, and the fact that we're yet to interchange them or rest them tells me how important they are to the side and
yeah.
how we play. Right. Similarly, I've said it so many times. If Cheek ever got injured for a long period of time, we have nobody who can do his job.
True. Funny enough, I said to someone on Saturday, this is the first I felt with Peppel and Louis and Fella, we would have to change our style of play.
Yeah.
But it's the first time I think if Cheek didn't play, I wouldn't think, oh well, we're not going to score because I think those guys have got it in them. But we would definitely have to change our style because Cheek is it's quite unique, and I mean,
Right.
before we even signed him, we all knew him. Like he terrorised us at every club he'd ever been at before he
Yeah.
came to Bromley, which is why we knew when we got him this was a massive signing for us.
Yeah,
So
100%. And I think that's the key. So actually, you've clarified the point I'm trying to make. It's not that we can't replace him; it's that we can't play the same way.
that's right. Yeah,
If he
yeah,
goes down, and I think that's the similar point I'm making with Corey and Ben. Without them, we can't currently play the way we play. So
Mhm.
we have squad depth and quality squad depth, and and both of us think we do. But there are some players in there where the fundamental way we play would have to change
Yeah,
if
we'd have to
if
switch
they
things
come
up,
out the side.
definitely. Yeah, yeah.
Last point on squad depth. We now have let me just write this down. We have the following centre backs at the club: Webster, Deji, Chinakoli, Callum Reynolds, Alex Kirk. Right?
Kolka Petka.
Oh my gosh!
Yeah, got another one.
I forgot about him. Oh my god,
Yeah.
I forgot. Oh, I didn't even mention his name earlier on. I completely forgot. 6 centre
Yeah.
backs don't go into 3.
I
I don't
said
know
to my
what
cousin.
Andy's plan is. I don't know if the plan is that there'll always be injuries. Like if you look at Saturday, Alex Kirk, it was his shirt to keep. He got an injury, so Chinakoli's come in. Now it looks like it's going to be Chin's shirt to keep unless he whatever, right?
Yeah, he had a good game. Yeah.
Who's the best 3 for you?
I don't know. I'd put all 6 out against Blackpool, but the best 3 at the moment on current form. And then Byron in some games, and if we're playing speed merchants, Callum.
Hold on, you went quiet at the start there. Didn't pick up on it. So say again.
Oh right, yeah, sorry. So Chin and Deji, and then Byron against most teams. But if we're coming up against real pace merchants, I put Callum Reynolds in instead.
Interesting. And the reason why I've asked you, people watching this, comment below, whether you watch it through the Facebook link, whatever it might be. Who's our best? I want everyone to kind of answer that. Who's our best 3 right now? Because I do think it's a bone of contention for some people. But fundamentally, Andy's thing has always been: if you're playing well, you're going to keep the shirt.
Yeah.
Deji was the only one. Once Deji signed, to me, it was obvious. Well, he's coming straight into the team. You wouldn't bring Deji back in on loan unless the plan is to bring him straight in. And we saw on Tuesday, more so on Tuesday than Saturday, maybe Saturday in the second half, why he wants Deji in. Because did you notice with Dej, there was 2 or 3 times in the match where he just picked up the ball and drove with it.
Yeah.
So Deji is different to the other centre backs because he's not there to just be an auxiliary centre back. He wants Deji to get on the ball and bring the team up the pitch because Deji's got technical ability to go forward with the ball, which then obviously allows Bez, who's on his left hand side, to also have more freedom as a wing back, knowing that Dej can go and Bez can stay, or Bez can go and Dej. Whereas some of our centre backs are what I call not as comfortable on the ball, or they're more they're centre backs first rather than ball carriers first. If that
I've
makes
said
sense.
to the people that I watch the games with, if Callum Reynolds could pass the ball, he'd be playing 2 divisions above this level. That's probably his one weakness, is his distribution. His defensive qualities are phenomenal. But yeah, Deji's the one that you get the ball, you think, like he's not going to get caught in possession. He's really, really strong going forward as well. Yeah, I can see why he brought him in, because you're thinking at the time, do we need another one?
Yeah.
But actually, you can see he's got something else the others don't. Yeah.
It is worth just noting, though, as good as this all is, and this is for another deep dive at a later point. A lot of these loans end in January. I'm just saying. I'm just saying. Yeah. So at some point near the end, when we get into like at Christmas time, I'm going to bring this point back up to you and go, what's the plan when a lot of these loans end in January?
The only comfort I get is the fact that last year we got Sturk and Deji in January. So hopefully there's another crop of youngsters that want to go, in the second half of the season. But yeah, I mean, you look at Lewis Lee, you think, is he really going to stay? Like, surely Preston are going to want him back in January, because he hasn't played a cup game for us yet, has he?
Yeah, it's not. He's been Preston of cup
tied.
Yeah,
I guess they would do. Yeah, I was guessing that. So yeah, that's a discussion from before the Blackpool game, isn't it? But yeah, obviously that's a consideration. Yeah, you'd imagine he'll play on Saturday against Woking. Because of that. Yeah.
Which leads me, therefore, you just hinted at it, to the final talking point of today's show. So Blackpool, and maybe we need to record, and I think we probably should record another one next week in the build up to Blackpool.
That would be good.
You and I have been through many I tweeted about it the other day. All the different,
Yeah.
certainly since my time. So what? My first game was 90, the Enfield season.
Yeah, so that's the first time we'd been in
Yeah,
the first round for 19 years. Was
right.
your
So we
first
had the
season?
Enfield one in
Yeah,
'96, which would be my first season. But then really what I call the FA Cup runs have started since the '06. Was it '06? The Gillingham
yeah,
one.
Gillingham. Yeah,
Gillingham
November
in
'06.
'06. Since
Yeah,
Gillingham in '06, I've
yeah,
worked out that we've been to the FA Cup first round 11 times in 18 seasons. Yes, I know we're now in the National League, but what I mean is that we have pedigree for being in the first round. Now, the first round
yes, we
isn't,
do.
it's nothing with, okay, if you're a new Bromley fan, maybe it is something new. If you're a long-standing Bromley fan, we've been here many, many times now before. It's almost to the point where my excitement is only for who we're going to get in the draw, not necessarily
Yeah,
being in the first round itself. My take on it, Cole, when I watched the draw live, when it was Blackpool, my first instinct was, boy, another
yeah,
another league club. I
yeah,
quickly I
yeah.
quickly looked at League One because I didn't know what position they were in. Saw they were in the playoffs and went, oh god,
Again,
oh
that's
god.
how I felt. Yeah,
And
yeah,
then after a while, I was like, well, at least it's at home. Then I started thinking, wait a minute, this is a good chance of being on TV because we're riding high, they're riding high. It to a TV exec, they'll probably think there could be a bit of a cup set going on here
especially
because of how
and the
good Bromley
plastic
are.
pitch will be. They're going to
Yeah.
make a big issue about the pitch as well. So
So
yeah,
us getting on TV wasn't a surprise to me. I just didn't know when we'd get on TV. I didn't realize that a Saturday evening game was an option.
nor
Mate, I
did
would
I
have
know.
suggested it if I knew that was an option. So it's Saturday at 5:45. I've spoken to quite a few people who seem to think we've got a chance. All I'll say is this: the best way I can equate this game isn't the Bristol Rovers one. I equate it to when we got Peterborough, right?
Yeah, I felt the same. Yeah, yeah,
And for those who remember that game, we were 1-0 up and were playing probably as good as I've seen us play in an FA Cup first round tie against higher level, even better than against Bristol Rovers,
yeah,
right? Because we took the lead and we were good value for that lead. And then Frankie Raymond did the elbow. They scored immediately from the free kick, and
yeah.
everyone looked at each other and went, "And this game is done." So,
That's right.
so,
Went in at half time, 1-1, down to 10 men. And everybody knew how the second half was going to pan out. Yeah,
um,
absolutely. Yeah,
so it's not that I'm saying we can't do it, but what I am saying is it's going to require a similar performance to that first 40 minutes against Peterborough back in, I think it was 2019 or whenever it was.
yeah, it was. Yeah,
Um,
yeah,
a similar performance to that first 40 minutes against Peterborough, but for the
yeah,
duration of 90. And what I
yeah,
will concede is we've never had a squad as, back to the original point, we've never had a squad as deep as this,
yeah,
where I look at this, like, provided everyone's fit, it will be the first time we go into an FA Cup first round game against a higher level team where I go, there's no obvious weakness in our side. So we certainly can give it a good go.
absolutely. Yeah, 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 we can. And we should do. We should, I don't, we should go and, we should, if we take the lead, you know what I mean? That'll be it. But what we can't afford to do is what we've done in too many of the games previously and concede early. And you
Mm.
get that dreadful sinking feeling. Fleetwood, Colchester, Rochdale. But you think, oh mate, this is done. It's done in 10 minutes. If we can take the lead, it'll be we'll give everybody watching BBC Two a decent game to watch. Hopefully,
And
you
that's
know.
the thing. I think I said to Andy after the Wildsong game when I interviewed him, I said, "Who do you want?" And no, was it after we got Blackpool? I can't remember when it was, but the whole point was this is bigger than Bristol Rovers, and let me explain why.
Hmm.
Even when we took Bristol Rovers to a replay and we got the game on BT Sport for the Tuesday night replay, I think I said to Andy that BT Sport is behind a paywall. This is terrestrial television. It's the
That's right.
only FA Cup game that is being screened live on the whole day on
Hmm.
Saturday. I'm not saying there's going to be millions upon millions watching, but it's it's actually bigger. This might be the biggest game I think Bromley have had in my lifetime. Obviously Wrexham at Wembley, but what I mean is Wrexham was behind pay TV. This is
Yeah.
on terrestrial television.
That's right.
Where
Yeah.
your average punter who might be bored on a Saturday evening will say, "Oh, there's a match on TV. What's this? Bromley Blackpool FA Cup first round." Blackpool are a name.
Yep.
So actually, there's an argument to say, Cole, now it's all sunk in. This is possibly one of our biggest games ever.
I agree. Yeah, you're looking at a team that's won the FA Cup, played in the Premier League 10 years ago, and have got a massive history, massive support. Everybody's heard of them, you know. And this is on terrestrial telly. We've never played live on terrestrial telly before. This is a big deal. It really is, you know. Yeah.
It's gonna be one of those games where anybody, then say this to all Bromley fans, it's gonna be one of those games where anybody who's ever known that you're a Bromley fan is gonna be texting you in the day, on the day or in the week running up to the game, going, "Oh bloody hell, Bromley have got an FA Cup game," as if you don't know yourself. You're in the FA Cup. It's gonna be one of those type of games where, for the first time, for some people are going to talk to you as if Bromley are a genuine top-tier football club that should be paid attention to, and that's what the FA Cup can do. When you have national screening, that's what the FA Cup can do, like nothing else in the country in terms of the status of your football club. So it'll be very interesting to see. Just so that people know, by the way, Colin, at the time of recording, Blackpool are 6th in League One.
Yeah,
they're 6th in League One. About 3 or 4 points off automatic promotion to the Championship. They've played 14 games, won 6, drawn 5, lost 3. So I believe, I could be wrong, but I swear they've got, what's his name, the Scottish guy up front, Rhodes. Is it Jonathan Rhodes? One used to play for Blackburn. I swear that's who they've got.
Oh, okay, right.
Yeah, Jordan Rhodes, not Jonathan. Sorry,
yeah,
Jordan Rhodes. Yeah. So Jordan Rhodes is
Okay.
their star striker. And yes, so I mean, we'll give it a go. We'll give it a go.
Exactly.
We'll see how it goes, Cole.
We genuinely don't have anything to lose. So, you know, yeah.
Indeed. Right, you know what? Listen, people. I said to Cole, I wanted to wrap this one up by 12:30. Both of us have got places to be, but Cole, we're going to touch base again. Woking away on Saturday. Then it's the week. A welcome. No, is there a? Have we got that?
We've got a London
Senior
Senior Cup game.
Who are we playing in that?
Redbridge at home. I'm thinking.
Are you
I'm
going?
guessing. Yeah, of course I'm going.
So we got Woking away, people. Colin and whoever else is going on Tuesday to the London Senior Cup. But do you know what, Cole? As people should probably go alongside London Senior Cup game, because again, pivoting back to that point about squad depth, there's a lot of people who need minutes.
I was thinking that. I'm wondering if you might see Sharman Lowe. I don't know. I don't know what they're going to do. I don't know if they're going to risk anybody given the massive game that we've got on the Saturday. It'd be interesting to see if anyone gets a run out or if it's considered too close to the big day.
I would be inclined, because worse, I mean, you want to protect your squad, but you can't bring somebody in from the cold who's not played significantly.
No, totally. I would want to give I wouldn't want to give Sharman Lowe a 90, so he's, in case anything happens to Grant against Blackpool, we've got someone coming in who's had a game, you know, and some of the centre backs, as we've touched on, you know, 3 of them could do with a game at least. So it'd be interesting to see what he does.
For real. So just to recap, Woking away on Saturday, I'll be there for that one. Cole will be at Redbridge at home on Tuesday night in the London Senior Cup. Good to see us back in that competition, to be fair. And then of course the big one against Blackpool, 5:45 kickoff, BBC Two on next Saturday. Colin and I will do some kind of FA Cup show in the build up to that, because I'm aware that some people may not know of our FA Cup history and the myriad of times that we've reached this round and the stories behind them all. So we'll try and do a show about all of those FA Cup escapades, because the reality is, for Bromley, more often than not, particularly in the early years, the FA Cup was really about the run to the first round rather than the first round itself. But now that we're in the National League, it's pretty much what do we do in the first round. So let's see. But Cole, thank you so much for coming on as usual.
No, pleasure, mate. Thank you. Yeah.
And we'll reconvene again next week. Thank you, everyone, for joining us on From Bromley. The deep dive on From Bromley with Love. Share it, like it, subscribe, follow the handle on Twitter, Cole's handle, You'll see in the description below, comment below. You know the jazz by now, people, and I shall see you soon.